Egypt, an ancient superpower, an economic and military giant, a nation governed by gods and revered by men. Fearless in its conquests, genius in its architecture and countless monuments, was truly a force to be reckoned with. But what most people don't know is that a single woman single-handedly governed that great empire for nearly 2 decades. Hatshepsut rose to power after the tragic death of her husband, to whom she never bore a male heir. But before his fateful death, Isis, Thutmose II's common wife, bore him an heir, but at the time of his death, Thutmose III was too young to inherit the throne. Seeing her opportunity, Hatshepsut rose to power, being the first female to govern the nation single-handed. Her trek to the throne was long and hard, but Hatshepsut overcame each obstacle with determination and wit, later becoming the king and pharaoh that will both awe and confuse architects in the years to come.
Hatshepsut, one of the greatest queens of Egypt, known by Egyptologists as the most successful pharaoh in all of the 18 women-ruled dynasties. Although it was uncommon for women to be queens, it wasn't unlikely for them to take position. In comparison with other female pharaohs, Hatshepsut's reign was much longer and prosperous. She was successful in warfare early in her reign, but generally is considered to be the pharaoh who inaugurated a long, peaceful era. Born in the 15th century BC, Hatshepsut, daughter of Thutmose I and Amenes, both of a royal lineage, was the favorite of the 3 children. When her 2 brothers died, she was in a unique position to gain power upon the death of her father. Hatshepsut, as a female, had many obstacles to overcome. There was always a threat of revolt, especially as her better nephew came of age. Using propaganda and keen political skills, she deftly jumped to each hurdle she faced. To quell the fears of her people, she became a king in all saturated and relief during her reign. Hatshepsut was not one to sit back and wait for her nephew to become of age enough to take her place. As a favorite daughter of a pharaoh, and as a charismatic and beautiful lady in her own right, she was able to command enough of a following to actually take control as pharaoh. She ruled for about nearly 2 decades until her death in 1458 BC, and left behind more monuments and works of art than any Egyptian queen to come.
Hatshepsut, one of the greatest queens of Egypt, was recorded at the turquoise mines at Serabat el-Qadim for a great achievement. Hatshepsut re-established trade networks that had been destroyed at the end of the 13th century, and sent expeditions to the Sinai and Punt, which is modern-day Somalia. They brought back gems, precious stones, incense, trees, animals, and supplies. Queen Hatshepsut was also one of the greatest builders among the pharaohs of Egypt. She had 2 huge obelisks built and placed at the entrance of the Temple of Amun, and built the Red Chapel on the temple grounds. She also restored many small cult shrines in Middle Egypt. One of her architects, Senenmut, designed her mortuary temple in the Valley of the Kings. Many people believe that because Hatshepsut was a woman, she was not interested in military campaigns. An interesting fact is that Hatshepsut actually placed her nephew, Thutmose III, as the commander-in-chief of her army. Another interesting factor in Hatshepsut's reign is that she was supported by the priesthood and nobles of Egypt. She never would have been able to remain in power so long without her support. The people of Egypt also seemed to accept her, as there were never any uprisings. Surprisingly, many of them grew restless after she died.
For hundreds of years, Hatshepsut's mummy was nowhere to be found. Many thought that her body had been moved or destroyed by her nephew in a hot-headed payback for her stealing his reign. In 1903, a famous archaeologist, Howard Carter, found Hatshepsut's sarcophagus in the Valley of the Kings. It was empty. In late 2006 and early 2007, Egyptologists took 4 unidentified female mummies through CT scans. They found no conclusive evidence that led them to believe that any of them was Hatshepsut. In 1881, archaeologists had found a wooden box with a cartouche of Hatshepsut. It contained a liver that they believed belonged to her. During the tests, Egyptologists ran the box through a CT scan. Along with the liver, they found a molar that had part of its root missing. It matched exactly with a partial root found in the jaw of one of the mummies. Although the tooth matched, it's not hard evidence that the mummy is actually Hatshepsut, but it's the only evidence that's been found so far. If the tooth had not been in the box, there was no way we would have found out what probably happened to Hatshepsut.
For years, no one knew exactly how Hatshepsut died. One theory is that she might have contracted cancer from a skin cream. They found a vial of cream that might have relieved a skin problem, but it contained benzoprene, which is a carcinogenic hydrocarbon. However, there is no concrete evidence that this vial belonged to Hatshepsut. After the discovery of her mummy in the Valley of the Kings, Egyptologists believed that she died of cancer around the age of 50. They found traces of cancer in her bones and also believed that she had diabetes.
When Thutmose II died, the only eligible one to inherit the throne was his infant son. In previous times, when the heir to the throne was still a child, his mother would step in and be the regent in her son's place. There was only one catch. The woman who bore Thutmose as an heir to the throne was a woman of very low status, therefore eliminating the option of her being the queen regent. Since the woman stepping in for the heir had to be of royal blood, Hatshepsut, the stepmother of the child, was named the queen regent, therefore taking on the job of guiding him until he was old enough and could claim the throne for himself. For 2 years, Hatshepsut was regent, proclaiming the child Thutmose III, the one and only pharaoh. But then it all changed. Unexpectedly, she dropped the title of regent and became king in all rights of the word. Hatshepsut embraced the role of being pharaoh and created many statues and monuments portraying herself as a male who could rule Egypt with all power, authority, and awe. While Hatshepsut reveled in the glory of ruling the nation, Thutmose III was left in the background and unable to claim what was rightfully his. Although, as in some cases, it would have been easier to dispose of Thutmose III and fully claim the throne without any threats, Hatshepsut did not do anything to secure her power, but instead ruled with an uncanny calm. Thutmose III did not seem to have her train of thought, though, for after Hatshepsut's controversial death, he had all monuments of her and statues torn down in order to erase any legacy she might have left behind. He tried to, but he didn't succeed.